beautiful morning to you out there, esteemed listeners. You are very much welcome to Carnival Radio Breakfast Show. And this is newspaper review on Carnival Radio. I am Ibrahim Adebayo. On Carnival Radio Breakfast Show this morning, newspaper review segments, we are going to start with the headlines in the newspaper. Edu fat remains 7.5%, says Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance. Ajero released as outrage trays arrest. AGF plans to abolish pardon for convicted looters. Stigmatization forcing ex-inmate back to prison, and says NCOS lament. Telecom services risk disruption as 800 workers begin strike. Now the news in detail. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, said that the government had no plan to increase value-added tax, VAT. He said the government will rather focus on sustainable economic policies that impose no further burdens on the citizen. The minister refuted claim in some quarters that there is a potential hike in VAT from 7.5% to 10%, assuring that no such tax increment is under consideration. Edun said President Bola Tinubu remained committed to fiscal stability and sustainable economic policies that will not impose further burdens on citizens. The minister reiterated that Nigerians will pay no tax on basic food and services, including food, rent, transportation, healthcare, and education, under the ongoing tax reforms by the federal government. He added that all essential household consumptions and businesses will be exempted from VAT. Edun clarification came as the latest report by the MBS shown that the government was becoming more efficient in tax collections, with increases in VAT collections and company income tax, even at the current rate. The MBS stated that VAT collection rose by 9.11% to 1.56 trillion in the second quarters of the 2024 from 1.43 trillion in the first quarter of 2024. However, compared to second quarters of 2023, the second quarters of 2024 VAT collections represented an increase of 99.82%. In another report tied to company income tax, and second quarters 2024, the MBS reported that aggregate CIT rose by 150.83% to 2.47 trillion naira in the second quarters of 2024. Wale Edun said the current VAT rate is 7.5%, and this is what the government is charging on a spectrum of goods and services, which is the tax is applicable. Therefore, neither the federal government nor any of its agencies will act contrary to what our laws stipulate. The statement is seen as a direct response to the media reports suggesting that government was preparing to increase VAT as part of its economic recovery strategy. Wale Edun noted that misinformation created unnecessary panic. For more details on the news, you can visit The Nation newspaper. Edun VAT remains 7.5%. Gyro release as outrage trace arrest. Arrested Nigerian Labour Congress President NLC Comrade Joe Ajaero was released late yesterday by the Department of State Services DSS, even as the government agency action has been greeted with widespread condemnation nationwide. Newsman was informed by one of the NLC leaders that Ajaero was released at about 11 p.m. yesterday. Ajaero was arrested at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja on his way to London to attend the Trade Union Congress (TUC) of the United Kingdom Conference, which began yesterday. Ajaero arrest came as the secret police lays siege to the Abuja office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERAP) for allegedly asking the government to reverse the recent increase in the price of petrol. SERAP has said, however, asked President Bola Tinubu to direct the DSS to stop its attack, confirming Ajaero arrest. The head of information of the NLC, Mr. Benson Okpa, however, said the union had no idea on the whereabouts of Ajaero, saying it was the DSS that arrested him. Newsman reported yesterday that the Labour leader had been moved to National Intelligence Agency NIA. His arrest came 11 days after he honored an invitation by the police on August 29 and was released the same day. A day before he honored the invitation, the police on August 28 re-invited Ajaero in furtherance of the investigation into the alleged case of criminal intimidation conduct likely to cause a breach of public peace and malicious damage to the properties in which your name feature. Speaking on the issue, legal advisor to NLC, Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, said the arrest of his client was not connected with an earlier invitation by the police, adding that the secret police had failed to provide any reason for Ajaero arrest. For more details on the news, you can visit the Vanguard newspaper. Ajaero released as outrage trace arrest. AGF plans to abolish pardon for convicted looters. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi SAN, has said those found guilty of corruption should not be granted state pardon. Fagbemi, who also advised Law Enforcement Agency against shoddy investigation, tasked them to have their facts before summoning anyone for questioning. In a statement by the Special Assistant to the President of Communication and Publicity, Office of the AGF, Kamaruddin Ogundele, yesterday in Abuja, the AGF stressed that cooperation of everyone was needed to fight corruption. According to the statement, the AGF spoke at the roundtable organized by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission for Attorney General in Abuja. The statement quoted the minister as saying, and I quote, he said, and I quote, we suggest in our next constitutional review exercise that we expunge those found guilty of corruption from benefiting from power of prerogative of mercy to serve as a deterrent for others. Newsmen report that under the immediate past administration of ex-president Muhammadu Buhari, ex-governor of Plateau and Taraba State Joshua Dariye and Jolly Nyame, respectively, who were convicted and jailed for corruption, were pardoned by the federal government. Ex-President Goodluck Jonathan also granted state pardon to his political godfather and ex-Bayelsa State Governor Dipriye Alamesiya, who was convicted of corruption. Fagbemi, according to his statement, advised the State Attorney General to ensure nepotism, political witch hunt, rivalry, and bigotry in the fight against corruption just because they want to please their governors. For more details on the news, you can visit the Daily Punch newspaper. AGF plans to abolish pardon for convicted looters. Stigmatization, forcing ex-inmates back to prison. NOC lament. The Nigerian Correctional Service lamented that stigmatization and societal rejection are forcing some freed inmates to return to its facilities. The concern was raised by the Controller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Aliru Nababa, at the annual National Conference of the Podium, a social platform for justice held in Abuja. Nababa, who was represented by the Nigerian Correctional Service Non-Custodial Head, DCG Abolade Benson, regretted that the process of reintegration of the former inmate back into the society is experiencing setback. He said, and I quote, "Our primary duty is to reform, and we are trying our best. Many people still feel people leaving correctional facility as criminal once they secure their freedom." The Controller General also praised President Bola Tinubu and the Minister of Interior Olubunmi Toji-Ojo for reviewing the feeding allowance of inmates nationwide to 1,250 per day. Last week, the federal government approved a 50% increase in the allowance to address the rising food costs and improve inmates' welfare. Nababa described the increase as a welcome development. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoko, has appealed for understanding, saying the public should desist from ordering its men to undertake the tasks of the courts. Egbetoko, who was represented at the panel by the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Tino Dagana, explained that the maximum duration a court can grant the police to remand a suspect in the cell is 2 weeks. For more details on the news, you can visit the Daily Punch newspaper. Stigmatization, forcing else image back to prison, says Nigerian Correctional Service. Telecom services risk disruption as 800 workers begin strike. Nigerian telecom sector risks shutdown as 800 workers from the private telecommunication and communication senior staff association have embarked on strike, threatening to cripple service nationwide. The union largely contrasted one of massive disruption to telecom operation if its demand were not met, as this will leave millions of subscribers to face a potential communication blackout. The strike began yesterday, and the union demand include, among other things, restatement of some of its sacked workers, recognition of the union, improving working condition, and remittance of membership due. Speaking with newsmen, the union secretary general Okunu Abdullahi said the association 800 workers play a significant role in managing critical infrastructure like base station for infrastructure companies such as IHS, Hawaii, and others. He said members of the union include field maintenance engineer, transmission engineer, customer service engineer, fiber engineer, and other critical staff working for telecom service companies. The culpable company include, among others, Way Technology Nigeria Limited, Taylor Nigeria Limited, Specific Tools and Techniques, CPNLs, and ITCC, among others. These companies in turn sometimes subcontract the work to smaller contractors who employ the striking workers. This complex web of outsourcing has led to concerns about workers' welfare and job security. The Telecoms Union had in April embarked on a similar strike over a similar situation, which was resolved through a reconciliatory meeting convened by the Ministry of Labour between the union and telecom services. For more details on the news, you can visit the Daily Punch newspaper. Telecom service risk disruption as 800 workers begin strike nationwide. Before we bring the newspaper review to a close, these are the headline again. Edun fat remains 7.5%. Ajaero release as outrage trades arrest. AGF plans to abolish pardon for convicted looters. Stigmatization forcing ex-inmates back to prison, says Nigerian Correctional Service. Telecom services risk disruption as 800 workers begin strike. And that ends the newspaper review on Carnival Radio. Thank you so much for listening. I am Ibrahim Adebayo. You can download the Carnival Media app from the Google Play Store and iOS App Store. Do enjoy the rest of your day.